Thank you so much, and thank you for doing this hearing. CISA claims that it has not engaged in censorship, and that is a complete and total lie. Mr. Schellenberger, I read an article recently that you had written, and it was about me, and the fact that I had been censored, and it was through CISA engaging with the DNC, the NAACP, Homeland Security, flagging my tweets, writing tickets on them, and also, amazingly, which to my shock, I read details of these tickets, making up complete falsehoods about me. Talk about misinformation. This is taxpayer-funded government agencies lying about a member of Congress about what I said, taking other people's statements and writing it in context of what I said on my own social media, then taking down my actual social media post, which is shocking, absolutely shocking. So, Mr. Schellenberger, I'd like to ask you a little bit more. You worked on the Twitter files, and I want to thank you for that work, and thank you for writing this article, calling attention to the fact that me as a member of Congress had my own First Amendment violated. That's also a First Amendment violation on behalf of my entire district because they elected me and sent me here to represent them. So thank you very much for that. What most surprised you or further alarmed you when you learned everything you did through Twitter files?
Thank you for the question, Congressman. I mean, I think I was shocked to see members of Congress being censored, and that was shocking to me. We were shocked to see how many government employees were constantly emailing Twitter. And Carlos Monje, an executive I cited in my Twitter files on the Hunter Biden laptop, complained about all the pressure that they were getting from the federal government. I think the most shocking thing, though, it was sort of like what you're saying, is that the censorship was actually in service of disinformation efforts. And that what you're really looking at when you're looking at the Cyber Threat Intelligence League is an operation that looks like it's like a military intelligence operation that clearly they drew right from fighting terrorists abroad, and they turned those tools against the American people. So censorship was just one of the countermeasures that they had set up. But with the Hunter Biden laptop, it was a disinformation campaign aimed at tying the laptop to the Russians, even though there was no evidence for it. And so you might have a situation where Yoel Roth is like, oh, I've got a good relationship with the FBI, but he's the target of an operation that was aimed at convincing him that there was something suspicious about the Hunter Biden laptop, even though they had the receipt from Hunter Biden and they had the FBI subpoena taking the laptop in December 2019. And so, in fact, their own review of the laptop, it came back that it was not the result of a hack. And so what you see is that, I think, to what Mr. Chenoweth was describing, is it's not just coercion. They're actually sort of, I don't know how do you describe it, they're kind of working these guys. They're using they're being very sweet often. It's often very kind and friendly, a lot of trying to be like, we're all on the same team here. You have to remember, I think it was over 96% of all Twitter executive donations went to Democrats, so it's a very partisan institution to begin with. So they're already primed to believe that there maybe is something wrong with that Hunter Biden laptop. And so what was important is not just that it was censored, but really that Twitter participated in the disinformation effort to create the perception that there was something illegitimate about it, that it was a result of a hack and leak.
Right, and so did Facebook, and so did Google.
That's right.
Largely the internet. Speaking of the partisan difference there, we have who was being censored. President Donald J. Trump, Senator Tom Tillis, Speaker Newt Gingrich, Governor Mike Huckabee, Congressman Thomas Massey, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, Newsmax, the Babylon Bee, Sean Hannity, Molly Hemingway, Harmeet Dillon, Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, Jack Pacific, Tom Fitton, James O'Keefe, Benny Johnson, Michelle Malkin, Sean Davis, Dave Rubin, Paul Sperry, Tracy Beans, Chanel Ryan, and then add in the most offensive, what I consider to be the most offensive, an untold number of everyday Americans of all political affiliations. These are people that don't have powerful platforms like me as a member of Congress. These are average American citizens that rely on the government to protect their rights, their freedom of speech, and it's outrageous, Mr. Chairman. I hope that we can, I certainly would like to completely defund CISA. It's an agency that should not exist. It's violated the American people's rights. We should completely get rid of it, and it shouldn't be entitled to do this anymore. Thank you. I yield back.
The gentlewoman yields back. I recognize Ms. Clark for 5 minutes of question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ranking Member Ivy, and good afternoon. Before I begin, I want to correct some statements made by the chairman about Jen Easterling and CISA. First, Jen Easterling never recommended regulating cognitive infrastructure. I ask unanimous consent to submit into the record an article from The Hill containing her full quote. On a related manner, aside from cyber incident reporting, CISA is not a regulator. It has no authority to regulate critical infrastructure outside of cyber incident reporting. Second, when asked at an appropriations hearing, Jen Easterling responded to questions about switchboarding in the present tense. And it is true that CISA no longer engages in switchboarding. Switchboarding occurred during the previous administration. And finally, the CISA Advisory Committee's MDM subcommittee does not exist any longer and hasn't existed for over a year. Every recommendation the subcommittee made while it has existed is on the website. So having said that, there's been a lot of discussion and fear-mongering about the work of DHS and CISA in particular, and I appreciate this opportunity to set the record straight. Mr. Sullenberger, in your testimony, you advocate for abolishing CISA, an agency created by legislation led by former committee chairman Mike McCall, a Republican, and signed into law by former President Donald Trump. At the time, President Trump stated that CISA would, and I quote, lead federal government's civilian response to cyber threats against our nation. And we've had many, many threats. The men and women of the new Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency will be on the front lines of our cyber defense. They will partner with the private sector and all levels of government to defend America's power grids, banks, telecommunications, and other critical parts of our economy. As the cyber battleship evolves, this new agency will ensure that we confront the full range of threats from nation states, cyber criminals, and other malicious actors, of which there are many. This is an enormous mission. Over the past 5 years, CISA has rapidly built capacity to help state and local governments and critical infrastructure defend against and build resilience to a range of cyber threats. CISA spends $45 million of its nearly $3 billion budget on election security. So, Mr. Schellenberger, do you know what percent of CISA's budget, overall budget, that is? Well, let me tell you that's about 1.5% of its overall budget. It's about 1.5%. Of the $45 million CISA spends on election security, about $2 million of those funds are used to support efforts to counter influence operations. Mr. Schellenberger, do you know what percentage of CISA's budget that is?
Too much.
It's not even 0.1% of CISA's overall budget.
And yet here
Mr.
we are
Chair,
debating.
hold on, excuse me. I'm reclaiming my time. Mr. Chairman, at the outset, it is clear that CISA has not engaged in any nefarious or unconstitutional activity. There is simply no evidence of it, but suggesting to abolish an agency because you disagree with less than 2% of what it does is just not a
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals, they take us higher. The night's young and it's just begun as she puts her hand in mine. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout from the top. We're gonna be two hearts running wild. Now the morning is the afternoon. We lay awake in bed. The laughs so loud as the hours